When we're working with exponents, we might have something like 5 raised to the power of 2. In this example, 5 is our base, and the 2 is our exponent. Our exponent tells us how many of our bases we're going to multiply together. So in this case, 5 raised to the power of 2 is 5 times 5. If I had 5 raised to the power of 4, that would be 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Again, here our exponent of 4 tells us that we're going to take our base 5, and we're going to have 4 of those bases that we're going to multiply together. The same thing is true when we're working with variables. I might have x to the power of 3. X is my base, 3 is my exponent. I can say that's equal to x times x times x. 3 x's that are being multiplied together. Now what if I have x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 2? Well, I know my x to the power of 3 is x times x times x. And if I multiply x to the power of 2, I'm multiplying, instead of writing x to the power of 2, I can say x times x. Now I can simplify that by asking myself, how many of those x's am I multiplying together? In this case, I'm multiplying 5 x's together, x to the power of 5. If I look at the relationship between my two exponents, x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 2, I can see that using the product of power rules, I'm adding my two exponents. So if I have the same base, in this case x to the power of 3 and x to the power of 2, I add those two exponents together to get x to the power of 5. So the product of power rules tells us that if I have a base raised to an exponent, and I multiply it by the same base raised to an exponent, that's going to be equal to that base with the exponents added together. So x to the power of 8 times x to the power of 8 is equal to x to the power of a plus b. Now let's look at an example that is where we're multiplying two terms together that have coefficients. If I have 3x to the power of 6, and I multiply that by 5x to the power of 2. The first thing we want to do is group together our coefficients and our common variables. Okay, so our coefficients are the numbers that are in front of each term. So I'm going to group together the 3 and the 5, my two coefficients, and I'm going to group together my two common bases, x to the power of 6 times x to the power of 2. Now here I'm just using my commutative property and my associative property. My commutative property tells me that I can change the order of my factors, and my associative property tells me that I can group them however I like. So I move the 3 next to the 5, I move my x's next together, and then I regroup them using my associative property. And now we can simplify. 3 times 5 is 15. And now we're going to use our product of powers to say x to the power of 6 times x to the power of 2. We're going to add those two exponents together to get x to the power of 8. Now let's do an example that has more than one variable. Let's say I have 4 a to the power of 3 times b I'm going to multiply that by 3, a to the power of 2, b to the power of 5. So the first thing I want to do is use my commutative property that allows me to change the order of my factors, and my associative property, which allows me to group those factors however I like. So I'm going to group together my two coefficients. Remember, my coefficients are the numbers that are in front of each term. And then I'm going to group together my common bases. So I'm going to take these a's, I've got a to the power of 3 times a to the power of 2, and I'm going to group those together. Then I can group my b factors. So I've got b times b to the power of 5. Now I'm going to simplify using my product of powers. So first, I'm going to work on the coefficients. 4 times 3 is 12. Then using my product of power rules, a to the power of 3 times a to the power of 2 is going to give me a to the power of 5. For my b terms, b times b to the power of 5 is going to give me b to the power of 6. Now notice we didn't have an exponent for our first b term. If you'd like to think about this as being b to the power of 1, since we just have the 1b, we normally don't put a 1 for our exponent, but you can think of that being as 1b multiplied by b to the power of 5. I add this to exponents and I get b to the power of 6.